Hello everybody, my name is Nina. I'm the Vice President and the co-founder of the Rejuvenation Science Institute here in Brazil. And today I want to answer two questions that are related that we got recently as comments in previous videos. So the first question is, if using elderly rats is so hard because it's hard to find them, and even if we do find elderly rats, we have to wait for them to age, because in the reproduction of Harold Katcher's experiment, Harold used 25 months old Sprague-Dawley rats. So if it's so hard to get elderly rats, or if it takes so long to wait for them to age, why not use other types of elderly animals, such as dogs? Dogs are common pets, so there are a lot of elderly dogs. So maybe someone like a vet could help us to apply the therapy into elderly dogs. And the other question is, and why use rats or dogs at all? Why not use in humans? Maybe we could use the therapy in ourselves or in elderly people, some elderly volunteers. Could we do that? So these are the two questions that are related that we got recently. So basically, we want to use rats because our main focus is to reproduce Harold Katcher's results. So if we use a different animal, even a different strain of rats, we wouldn't be sure if the result is correct in the sense that if Harold got 67% of epigenetic rejuvenation in 25 months old Sprague-Dawley rats, if we don't get the same amount of rejuvenation, or if we don't get rejuvenation at all, or if it's bad for the animals, we won't know if it's because Harold's procedure is not as effective or is not as safe, or if it's just not as effective in this other type of animal, in this other strain of rat, you know? So the primary focus of the Institute right now is basically to check these results. So that's why we got old Sprague-Dawley rats, but they are not very old. So when we got them, they were 9 weeks old. Now I think they are like 12 or something like that. And we have to wait for them to age until they are 25 months old for us to apply the therapy. So this will happen in June of 2026. So basically, we don't want to use other animals or other strains of rats to make sure that this result is reproducible, is robust, you know, this therapy is robust. Another reason for not using another animal is related to the amount of the plasma fraction that we call peak plasma extracellular particles, the amount we have to give to these animals. So rats are relatively small. These old rats, they're not so small. They're like half a kilo, because we have to give these extracellular particles related to the weight of the animal. So if we have a larger animal like a dog can weigh, I don't know, 15 kilograms or 20. There are smaller dogs, of course, that weigh 3 kilograms, but even a 3 kilograms dog is much bigger than a rat. So there's also this issue related to the amount that we have to give. So the amount of pig's blood that we have to get, or if we use from a different source, so the amount of blood, and then the whole processing that we have to do. So as at this stage, we are in a very preliminary stage. We still haven't worked with such a high volume of blood. For example, in the experiment we will do in June of 2026, we will need the blood of 10 pigs to apply the therapy into 10 old rats and 10 middle-aged rats. And we have to apply it twice. So we are using 10 rats in each group, and in dogs we would have, to be similar, we would have 20 dogs. And so as you can see, it's not as simple. We have to do things for now a bit more carefully, in baby steps, to make sure that we have the procedure correct, to make sure, first of all, that the result is robust, that is reproducible. So basically, that's why we are not trying in other animals. And the other question is related to about trying ourselves, like self-experimentation. So first of all, I'm not old enough, I think. I'm 34 years old as of right now. We are in April 2025. So I don't think I'm old enough to see results. You know, maybe we could see something, but very, very minimal. And so we would have to try in someone old. So ideally, we would have to try in someone like 80 years old or 70, 75 years old, something like that. And here in Brazil, we can't do it. Legally, we couldn't do that. We couldn't inject these extracellular particles into someone old without all the previous experiments that need to be done. And one of them is the one that we're doing next year in June of 2026. We could, in theory, do that in other countries. So we are talking to people from Chile, for example, and they want, we talked a bit about this in our last newsletter, but there are some people in Chile who are talking to us because they want to reproduce the whole procedure of isolating extracellular, this fraction, this plasma fraction, these extracellular particles, but from human blood. So young human blood, they want to extract the extracellular particles and inject into old and middle-aged humans. In Chile, this legally is allowed. So we, I'm saying like not directly the Rejuvenation Science Institute, but we could do a collaboration with people, with scientists from Chile to help them to do that and also spread the word about the results, help them to move forward maybe. So in Brazil, we can't do that, and in most countries, it's not allowed as well. If you look at the legislation, basically the only two countries that we know of that this is allowed is Chile and Japan. So this is the only two countries that we know about this possibility. So basically, this is why we are doing this experiment in rats. So we want to really check the reproducibility of the Harold Katcher's experiments, the robustness of the results that they got. We want to have smaller animals as of right now to be sure that we can isolate the amount that we need to isolate of big plasma extracellular particles. And we can try in humans in Brazil legally. So, but we can talk to other researchers from Chile, for example, to see if they could, in Chile, do the experiment in humans. So I guess that's it. I've answered the questions. And if you guys have more questions, please leave as comments below. And just a little reminder, we are doing a fundraising campaign. We need to raise $75,000 to do this experiment in June of 2026, this reproduction of Harold Katcher's experiment. And we have already raised about half of what we need. So we need to complete the other half. So I'm also inviting you guys to donate to our research institute. It is a non-profit organization. It's called the Rejuvenation Science Institute. And the link is below if you want to donate. Okay? Thank you. Bye-bye.